Yo, what's good, man? It's Hot Streak, and you already know what it is. It's me, Carlos, in the building, and I'm not alone.
Yup, you already know. Same thing every week, man. It's your boy Saif.
Yeah, we out here bringing you the best sports news possible. Like, ESPN got nothing on us, but if they want to give us that check, come through.
But yeah, we'll rename everything and just work for them. But until then, nope, we the best.
Yeah, for real. So first off, let's bring them some NBA news, man. NBA season is right around the corner. We started the preseason this week. This past weekend, we had our first couple games, and into the week, I think we're about on game 4 now as we're airing this of most teams' preseason. So the preseason actually was shortened. Instead of 10 games, it was brought down to 6 games, and the season starts about a week earlier. So they're basically saying, hey, more basketball for everyone. And that comes into, obviously they're coming into effect this year, and it's different because the season is, they're spreading out games, so there's not more back-to-backs for player rest. Right. So players aren't sitting out at crucial parts, and fans aren't disappointed that they don't get to see their favorite players play because of rest. So that's good. Initial preseason thoughts, Saif. What do you think? Are you ready for basketball season?
Yeah, the only games I saw so far were the 2 Laker preseason games, one versus the Nuggets, the other versus the Kings. And then I also got to see the Rockets versus the Thunder, which, Paul George and Carmelo. I think Carmelo had 19 points, made some really sweet. It looked like Hoodie Melo out there, He made some really sweet shots. It was tight.
That's going to be
the
dope.
Lakers. Yeah, but for the Lakers, my first impressions are, still a young team. Defense still needs to be worked on. Kyle Kuzma looks like he's going to be
Kyle Kuzma looks like a steal, man.
Sure. Yeah, he definitely is going to be a star. He's got everything you want. He can shoot. Spread the floor.
Yeah, he has a really nice jump shot.
Yeah, him and Lonzo are going to be sweet together. Lonzo had a few turnovers. It was kind of sloppy a little bit for him, but I think he had a decent game for his second preseason game. I'm waiting to judge him more, midway through the actual regular season. But
yeah, I feel like we'll have a pretty good. Yeah, we'll have a pretty good idea of what Lonzo Ball can do probably around December, January time. He'll get a little bit more acclimated to the new league, and he's probably going to be able to play most of the teams by then. So that'll be good to see.
I'll give you a hot take right now.
Oh,
I think Kuzma could be easily Rookie of the Year if everything goes right, and him and Lonzo, they start growing together. Lonzo just making better and better. He's already good, and he can put up some crazy stats. I can see he gets a double easily in the first half.
Lonzo Ball.
No, sorry. Kuzma gets a double in the first half.
Yeah, because he could rebound. He could rebound and he could shoot. And like you said, he spreads the floor pretty well. So, I know it's only preseason, but this guy's making a lot of noise, and he's definitely going to fight for some playing time on the Lakers.
Yeah, believe that. Hey, you should tell him what you think about Julius Randle. You're kind of like a little hot take about Julius Randle.
Oh yeah, you're right. So over the weekend, me and Saif hung out, and usually every time we hang out, it's just like a Hot Streak episode off the top. So we were talking about potential moves that the Lakers could make this season and see what they could do with a lot of the assets that they've acquired. There's a lot of young guys. They can make some moves. Essentially, Julius Randle is probably the highest. He has the highest value. He's a double-double machine. We have yet to see that improved jump shot, but he's saying he's more comfortable with it. And if they decide that they need to make a trade around February, I could see them moving Julius Randle. I don't really know for who or what team he would go to and for who they would trade him for, but they definitely have backup in that position. Larry Nance could potentially start at the beginning of the season, and then Kuzma will just slide right into that Larry Nance role off the bench and bring that energy that he does bring to the team. So, it's the start of the season. We have quite some time to get the trade talk out and trades in and out of the system here, but I see that the Lakers potentially could make a lot of moves.
Yeah, they definitely can, man. And honestly, I think when you brought up the idea, I was kind of skeptical at first. But if Kuzma keeps improving and becomes one of those star players, and his development is quick, then we don't really need Randall at that point. Even though I do like Randall, it would clear up some more starting issues, and just it'll give Lakers a more clear sense of mind of who they want to play, who's good, and who they can keep, and then what they can get for Julius Randle too.
And the good thing about Julius Randle, Larry Nance, and Kyle Kuzma is most of them they're pretty versatile. Larry Nance could play the 3 and the 4 and the 5. Julius Randle could play the 3, the 4, and the 5.
And they can both guard any of those positions.
Yeah, and Kyle Kuzma could play the 3 or the 4. So he's never played the 4 before in his career, except like with rotation shifts in the NBA. But that's what Luke Walton wants. He wants versatile players. He wants players that are going to bring energy, players that are going to play good defense, and the defense is going to translate into fast breaks, which the Lakers want to do. They want to run. They want Lonzo out there dishing it. They want Jordan Clarkson scoring off of fast breaks. They want Brandon Ingram scoring. So if they can establish a good defensive presence in the league, that'll translate to the offensive game. They won't have to be stuck in half court situations because since they are a young team, it's going to be difficult in the half court against top defensive teams. If they could get out and run against top defensive teams, that would definitely bring some improvement and some wins to a team that definitely misses winning and wants to make the playoffs.
That's for sure. That's another thing too, with that fast pace and style that Luke wants to run. Lakers didn't seem in shape enough to run it last. It's only the preseason still, but their conditioning needs to also improve.
Yeah,
and plus they kind of need the shooters for it too. I mean, like Kuzma can get that 3 off, but you don't want him to be your main 3-point shooter. You know what I mean? Like when we had D'Angelo was kind of that guy, and Nick Young, they were those guys for that. Lou Williams, but we don't have any of those guys anymore. So we kind of need to work on that 3-point.
Yeah, and that's what Brandon Ingram was working on, that 3-point shot over the summer, and he hopes to establish that kind of.
It's looking
threat.
Quick. I saw his release.
He has a nice jump
weird,
shot.
But yeah,
it's looking good. It's new and improved. It's shortened, and with his height, I think he could shoot over a lot of players. Julius Randle doesn't have a jump shot, doesn't have a 3-point shot, so we can't look for him to do that. But Lonzo, Caldwell Pope, Jordan Clarkson, players off the bench need to. I think the Lakers don't need to rely on one 3-point shooter or 2 or 3 3-point shooters. They need to have good team 3-point shooting. So as a team, they need to average a good amount of 3-point shots and percentage-wise hitting those threes. So it's going to be interesting to see that team develop. Particularly, they want to fight for a playoff spot. That's what everyone's talking about. That's what they're training for. That's the goal. They want to make the playoffs. They want to establish themselves as a team that is on the cusp of creating something great. And I think they have all the tools. They just need to work for it.
Straight up.
And then there was also some. We've been talking about the Lakers a little bit, but there's also some teams that we're getting to see their first action in the preseason with the revamped squads. Houston with Chris Paul. Seems like Chris Paul is just an assist machine. Like anywhere he goes, people are going to get fed and they're going to score the buckets. And it's cool to see Chris Paul and James Harden in the backcourt. That's a dangerous backcourt right there.
Yeah, did you catch that preseason game? The one they played against the Thunder?
Yeah, I saw a little bit of highlights.
It looked amazing, dude. Just what you imagine, 3-point shooting, good assists, and everything. It was awesome.
Yeah, and then I don't know. There's some questions about Houston. I think they're a top 5 team in the West. I don't know how they're going to translate in the playoffs because of the bench. There's some questions surrounding that, but as far as the regular season, I think they're going to be a pretty hard team to handle with James Harden being able to assist like no other and Chris Paul also being able to assist like no other and score off the dribble. Same thing with James. They definitely know how to get to the bucket, how to score, and how to get the ball to the open teammate.
Yeah, they talk these days. They talk about how the NBA is changing. 3-point shooting is a new thing. They kind of talk about like the the extinction of set positions, center and power forward and stuff.
Yeah.
And the Rockets have kind of like been, I mean, obviously the Warriors, they're the huge 3-point shooting team, but if you look at the statistics, I believe the Rockets have shot the most 3-pointers last season. So they're before Chris Paul,
Yeah, with D'Antoni's offense.
Anderson. Yeah, D'Antoni, they got Anderson. They got so many sharpshooters on that team. It's going to be interesting because I personally, I think the Rockets can go super far. They got some good talent on their team. I think they can even do better than the Thunder.
Yeah, the Thunder is another team that we got to see some action on. They played the Rockets earlier this week, and they came up short. But it's cool to see Carmelo in a different system on a team that looks like they're going to be a winning team. I felt like Carmelo in New York was just a waste. He made the playoffs a couple times. They didn't really make it to the conference championship. They ran into Miami Heat, LeBron James, and Dwayne Wade, so that was like a tough mountain to climb. But after that, like the front office kind of just let the team die, and Carmelo was stuck. But him with OKC and Paul George and Russell Westbrook, that's going to be a pretty interesting team to see in the regular season. I don't know how it's going to translate in the playoffs, but they look like they are going to have a pretty strong season. Definitely top 5 in the West somehow. I don't know how they match up against the Warriors yet. We have yet to see that. We have yet to see the defensive matchups and how that's going to translate and how the bench is going to translate, because OKC doesn't seem to have a really deep team. They got a nice starting 5, but other than that, there's some questions surrounding the bench. And
but you're right though. This is the best situation Carmelo's had
in a long time,
like his whole career, besides when he was actually competing with the Nuggets.
Yeah, because with the Nuggets, he was the number 1, and there wasn't really anyone else around him. He had role players. I mean, he had J.R. Smith, but J.R. Smith was still young, and he wasn't a winner at that point. So it's going to be, I mean, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for basketball season. Everything's looking good as far as
around the corner, man.
Yeah, and then we also got a chance to look at the new look Timberwolves. I think their defense is going to cause some problems. They got Tom Thibodeau, a defensive-minded coach, and they're going to cause some issues for teams, man. They're going to play some lockdown defense. They got Jimmy Butler, who's a lockdown wing defender. Andrew Wiggins is looking to develop more on his defensive prowess. And then you got an anchor in Karl Anthony Towns down there in the paint. So, I mean, that guy's a unicorn. That guy can shoot threes. I think against the Lakers, he scored like 5 threes or 4 threes.
Yeah.
And
he was letting them.
Yeah, he was lighting them up,
bro. But the thing is Tom Thibodeau their new head coach?
It's their second season.
Okay, because last year the Timberwolves were like top 5 worst defensive teams. So I think that was like one of the only things that makes me skeptical about them. But if they can fix that, and I think he's a good coach to help do it, then they can definitely be in that conversation of, Western Conference, leadership titles, all that. But until they get that defense, then they're still going to be at the bottom.
Yeah, and then I feel like we're still not even talking about the Spurs, who are quietly still a good team. Like they are still a good team. Like it's not like they fell off at all. If anything, they got a little bit stronger in terms of their bench. And then we have Tony Parker coming back from injury a little bit sooner than expected. And they got Rudy Gay. They still got Powell. They're a good team, and it's going to be interesting, man. The West is so stacked. We don't even talk about the East because, I mean, what is there to talk about? It's Cleveland versus Boston. So
straight up, that's already a done deal. It's pretty sad. But it's funny now that you mentioned the Spurs. They're like, it used 20 years. I haven't seen them have one bad team. Legitly, one bad team in like my whole life.
Yeah,
they've
honestly
never had a season. I don't know when the last time they didn't make the playoffs was, but I bet it's a short time. And the only other franchise that's done that really has been like them and the Celtics. The Celtics took a couple years off of contention, but oh my god, the Spurs are always there, man. It's impressive.
Let's go to the East and talk about the Wizards, man. The Wizards, they say they have a chip on their shoulder. They think John Wall John Wall got that challenge, that Mamba challenge, and to go all defensive, first team all defense. So he's looking to establish himself. He thinks he's the best point guard in the East. It's kind of hard to disagree with him. The only thing I think he lacks is that 3-point shot, but other than that, he's still a monster. He's impossible to guard. His handles are like super elite, and he attacks the basket. He can shoot the mid range. The only thing I said is the 3 ball. That is what I think that he lacks. But he has Bradley Beal back there, who's a 3-point sharpshooter, so it kind of counteracts that balance right there. And he wants to win MVP. So it's gonna be an interesting season, man.
Good for him, honestly. He should have that mentality. That's a good mentality to have. And I totally forgot they're in the East, but you're in the East, you better make the best of it while you can, while it's still shitty. You know what I mean? So
yeah, because there's a lot of teams that are looking to make some moves in the East.
I think he's a phenomenal player too. I think he's one of the best players in the league for sure. Top 10, top 5 point guards. But it's just like you got to do something. At this point of your career, if you're not at least getting into the Eastern Conference Finals, then you got to start making moves. I know he has a good morale and all that, trying to rally his team up, and they do good, in the playoffs. But they got to actually start seeing that result.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, man, I'm excited for basketball season. It's right there. I could taste it, man. It's right there. We have like 14 days as of this recording till the actual season begins. And
dude, I think I know what we need to talk about really quick too. Oh my God, I can't believe we didn't mention this. Well, Russell Westbrook is just basically signed a contract that will make sure his kids are still rich. And he's basically, how much money is it? Like $210 million or something?
Yeah, and then I think in the last portion of his contract, the last year of his contract, I think he makes like $800,000 a game.
Oh my God.
That's ridiculous.
That is crazy.
Talk about loyalty, though. Talk about loyalty.
That's a true man right there, because he's talked about loyalty. And not only that, when Kevin Durant left, he did his whole thing like, oh yeah, I got to be loyal. But there was so much speculation about him moving on, and no one would really blame him because they weren't in contention. It wasn't like everyone was begging him to stay on the Thunder, but he's just a real dude, and he goes hard for his team, and I think that's huge. I think it's the biggest contract, if I'm not mistaken, but that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So that's it for the NBA portion of the hot streak. We'll be right back. We're going to bring you some NFL news coming up and some more soccer news later. But make sure you follow us on Instagram at Hot Streak Podcast and on Twitter at Hot Streak POD. Check out the website too, hotstreakpodcast.com. And we'll be right back.
This is Trey Hermoso, and you're listening to Hot Streak Podcast.
And we're back with Hot Streak Podcast, guys. We got some more football to talk about. We got some soccer. It's been a crazy week in the NFL. Obviously, a lot of things going on, but the football's been good, to say the least. Some upsets, some good games happened this week. It was week 4. Carlos, how do you feel about week 4, man?
Week 4 was very, very unexpected. Let's start off with that Thursday night game from last week. The Packers won. There was a rain delay. And they started off really hot. Their defense got a couple turnovers real quick off the bat, and they put 35 points up on Chicago. And Chicago struggled, but they're going to be starting that rookie this week, so look out for that. I knew the Packers were going to win. I mean, that was obvious.
Oh yeah, I already told them last week. I was like, you guys already know the Packers won against the Bears, No doubt.
So then we had that early game on Sunday, New Orleans in Miami and London, and what did the Dolphins expect when they signed Jay Cutler?
They got what they paid for. Let's just say that.
Let's just say that how did somebody get away with stealing $10 million from an organization like that?
When Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a job and Jay Cutler's playing, that's when I had a problem with anything, just because of the pure Like, who signed? There's way better quarterbacks out there
than Jay Cutler.
Than Jay Cutler. I mean, he has experience, but he doesn't have skill. Like, he just doesn't, and he's proving it every day, every week.
Yeah. And then Cincinnati beat Cleveland. I think we both picked Cincinnati to win that. Finally, Cincinnati could score a touchdown. Man, they were having some issues on offense. So
no, wait, wasn't this the game that we thought that they would have an upset and it would be the Browns win?
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. Whoops.
Oh man,
Whoops.
What happened?
The Browns did Browns things.
Yeah, Browns did a Brown.
Yeah, and then
that's sad.
Upset alert. The Buffalo Bills beat the Atlanta Hawks, the Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta Falcons, man.
That was
they were 3-0 before this, right?
Yeah, Matt Ryan threw it wasn't an interception because they knocked the ball out of his hand, but it went forward, so it was a forward fumble, and it landed right into the breadbasket of a defensive back, and he just ran that thing back, and they didn't look back, man. The Buffalo Bills defense is looking pretty stacked.
Oh, yeah.
Then the Jets won. Surprisingly, they beat Jacksonville.
Oh my god!
Off of a field goal in overtime. I remember because the Raider game was supposed to be televised after that, and the Jets went into overtime, and they didn't switch the game to the Raider game, so we were watching the Jets freaking fumble in overtime, and then Jacksonville going 3-and-out on overtime, and then the Jets finally being able to make that field goal to win the game, and I was irritated, but whatever, the Jets won. Then Detroit beat Minnesota in a defensive struggling game right there because it was only 14-7. So bad news for some Minnesota Vikings fans as well. Your rookie running back Delvin Cook is out for the season with a torn ACL. That's very unfortunate. It was a non-contact injury too. You see him trying to make a cut and his foot just got stuck. And his ACL's gone. And then,
damn, dude, that was a sad injury.
Yeah, it's always sad to see somebody get hurt like that. Not a very good sight, and hopefully he makes a good recovery. Let's head up to New England, man. I like to see when New England loses. They lost to the Carolina Panthers in a shootout again. Cam Newton finally brought his team back, got a good win on the road, and Tom Brady, obviously, Tom Brady's not going down without a fight, so he almost brought his team back with the fourth quarter comeback, but they came up a little bit short. I think there's some questions to be asked about the New England defense. How good are they, and can they contend for a repeat? I don't know. I guess we'll see. Did you watch this next game, the Los Angeles Rams against the Dallas Cowboys?
I caught bits and pieces, but because I had Todd Gurley on my fantasy team. Oh my god, I'm so happy.
Yeah, dude, you lucked out with Todd Gurley. The Los Angeles Rams are playing really good football right now. They beat the Cowboys 35-30. They actually came back and beat the Cowboys. Their defense is playing well under Wade Phillips, and that offense is looking like it's gonna open up more throughout the season. They have a lot of intermediate routes and a lot of they rely a lot on the run game, and their offensive line is doing really well. So it's getting a little bit more comfortable for Jared Goff back there and tossing the ball around, and he's looking good, man. The Rams are looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, I don't know what that coach is doing, but he's doing something good. He's doing something right.
And then we had the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Baltimore Ravens. Pittsburgh won. It was Le'Veon Bell's breakout game. He was very instrumental in their offense this week. He went up against a pretty stout defense, but he broke over 100 yards, 100 scrimmage yards, so that was good. Yeah. Antonio Brown had a little bit of a temper tantrum, but I mean, he's frustrated because he wants the ball all the time. But
he was open, man.
He was open.
How are you not gonna see him back?
Yeah, he was wide open. Like, he could have walked into the end zone. He was so open. But I mean, Ben Roethlisberger didn't see him. Yeah, they got the W. That's what matters.
It's all good.
And then we had Tennessee against Houston, which was On paper, I think we picked Tennessee, but Marcus Mariota.
No, you picked. I wanted to be very specific about this. You
okay, I picked Tennessee.
I'm gonna go back and listen to it last
I picked Tennessee.
Show.
I did.
And I picked Texans because I thought defense win games, but it wasn't even the defense. Much.
Marcus Mariota got hurt, pulled a hammy.
Yep.
I'm not too sure how serious the injury is. I think it's going to keep him out a couple of weeks. But at that point, it was they put on the afterburners there. Houston, Deshaun Watson tied a rookie record with 5 total touchdowns, 4 passing, 1 rushing. So
that dude's a stud, man.
Yeah, he's a stud. That was a really good pick. And we'll see how they can rely on their defense to win games, or if their offense is going to open up now. And then so on to the next game, the Niners against the Arizona Cardinals. The game of the bottom feeders, I guess. Arizona won in overtime. Not a very dramatic game there. I mean, we knew it was going to be a dismal performance by both.
Contest.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be a field goal contest. I think it was a field goal contest, honestly.
Probably. Let me see.
The Niners only had 15 points. That's 5 field goals. Arizona had...
It literally was a field goal contest.
Yeah.
Not 1 touchdown scored.
Wow.
Oh, great football, guys.
Yeah, right. And then Philadelphia gets the Chargers, and you know how it is. The Chargers, they keep their heads above water for 3 quarters, almost the full 4 quarters, and then the last 2 minutes of the 4th quarter, they decide to just choke. That's what happened this week.
It's always a safe bet to bet against the Chargers.
Yep. And then we had Tennessee against New York Giants, and this is surprising to a lot of teams because on paper, the Giants had a really good defense. They had a pretty good upside with their offense, and they're 4-0. I mean, they're 0-4. So they got to look in the mirror and really decide if they're gonna show up this season or not, because they have a lot of talent on their team, and there's no reason for them to be losing these games. Like, they should be winning games. They should be at least 2-2.
Straight up. And for the Giants, I don't know how are you 0-4? Like, what are the Bucks right now?
The Bucks I think the Bucks are 2-1.
Let me see this really quick. Pull it up. Oh yeah, they're 2-1 now. Okay, so the Bucks are looking solid, but like New York, you have Eli Manning, Odell Beckham. You know, you got weapons. What are you doing? 0-4? Like, that's not how you want to start your season off. And I read an interesting little stat, and it said that Odell Beckham and Marquise Lee from the Jacksonville Jaguars lead the league in dropped passes.
Really? Do you have a number for that?
Yeah, I believe it was 4.
Oh, I think it's changed. I think there's a new leader in drop passes.
Oh.
Amari Cooper's having a really tough start of the season, man. He's dropping a lot of balls that are catchable.
Are you sure it was like a drop pass, or was it just like a incompletion?
Well, catchable balls that he didn't catch, I think are just counted as drops. Uh-huh. So he dropped.
No, Amari Cooper is 3. He's like tied for 3rd.
Oh, okay. So when I was watching the game, I think they said that he led the league in drops. But anyway, well, that's a good little segue into the next game because the Oakland Raiders played the Denver Broncos. Denver came out on top with a 16-10 win. And unfortunate news for Raider fans everywhere, including me. Derek Carr got hurt. He got sacked and caught a knee to the lower back. And he has I don't know what the real medical term is. It's like something contusion fracture, but yeah, he's going to be out for about 2 to 6 weeks. He
broke his back.
Yeah, he has a fracture somewhere, and the injury doesn't seem to be too significant. It's going to keep him out at least a month. I anticipate him being healed up by that 3rd week, but they're going to sit him out just for precautionary measures, and there's like a slight dip in the quality of teams that they play in the next couple weeks. So EJ Manuel's looking to get some reps this week in practice and try
good practice for him.
Yeah, he did good when he came in. He started moving the ball. I have some. We'll talk about the Raiders a little bit later, but he did good, and they just couldn't come out with the win. And then we move on to Indianapolis in Seattle, the Sunday night game. Seattle came out on top 46-18. I don't think they scored an offensive touchdown, though. I think it was
no way.
I think their defense scored 2 touchdowns and maybe special teams. I mean, they probably scored a little bit, but their offense is still struggling.
Yeah, that's for sure. 18-46. That's a blowout, man.
Yeah.
1-3. Wait, who did the Colts beat?
The Colts
they
beat the
probably
Browns.
beat the Browns.
Yeah.
Okay, that's sad.
And then
the Seahawks are 2-2 now.
Yeah, so that division's looking a little bit more competitive on each end there, but I don't know, man.
Where's the Legion of Boom, man? How's the Legion of Boom doing?
Well, they got a pick 6 this week, so
okay.
Yeah, so they're still there. You know what I mean? But as far as the Colts, Andrew Luck's practicing this week, so that's some good news. I don't know if he's going to start this weekend, but he's definitely practicing this week, getting some reps under his belt. So maybe by next week he'll be in uniform on Sunday.
Nice.
And the Monday night game was the Kansas City Chiefs against the Washington Redskins. It was a close game. The score does tell that it was a close game, but it was actually closer than what the score was. On the Kansas City Chiefs drove down the field at the end of the game, scored a game-winning field goal. What we thought was going to be the last score of the half, and then on the ensuing kickoff, the Redskins tried to do a lateral, and they fumbled, and the Kansas City returned it for a touchdown. So it ended 29-20. Yeah, Kansas City's the only unbeaten team in the league right now. They're the only undefeated team.
That's crazy. Finally, they were always so good for years. They just couldn't,
I mean, I have faith in them to choke.
Oh yeah,
Alex Smith is a choke artist.
We'll see. I think he's on his mission, because I think if he doesn't win this year, he's gonna retire.
Alex Smith?
Yeah, I watched an interview by this guy named Graham Bessinger. He does a lot of good interviews, and he was talking about that, and he was just like, yeah, like if it doesn't happen this year, then it might be over for me.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Well,
you'll learn something new.
I want to talk about my team real quick. For some reason, man, our defense is looking pretty good. They're playing their hearts out. They're doing what it needs. Like Khalil Mack is a beast, and no one can guard him, and that's obvious. But as far as the offense, I remember late August I was saying, yeah, man, the Raiders' offense is gonna be dope. Like they have a lot of good weapons. They have Derek Carr.
They're stacked.
Yeah, they're stacked on paper, and they just can't seem to translate right now. They're having some issues. Obviously, the injury is not a good thing, but other than that, like they just couldn't seem to string together a drive where they had enough. They had no third down conversions. I think they were 1 for 11 again this weekend, and it was a dismal performance. So I need them to step it up. And with this injury, I'm looking for EJ Manuel to prove why he was a first round draft pick by the Bills. Obviously, it didn't work out there, so he's going to be the starting quarterback for right now. And I just wanted to talk about that real quick. So this other article that I was reading about, we have some teams that are highlighted about are they contenders or are they pretenders? And started off with the Buffalo Bills. They are 3-1. They have some signature wins over Denver and Atlanta. And one reason why I think they could stay in contention is their defense. They have a pretty stout defense. They lead the NFL in points allowed per game, which is 13.5, and rank 5th in yards. So that's a good sign when your defense is putting up numbers like that. But the downfall I feel like they have is that they have the healthiest team right now through week 4. And if they have any injuries to their core lineup offensively, they're going to be in some trouble. So, like we know, there is injuries in the NFL, and that could be a reason why I feel like they could fade. But we'll see. I mean, the season will only tell. They have some help in the Patriots losing a couple games, and the Jets seem to be making a start, and the Dolphins are weak. So, I mean, they have some help in their division, and maybe they could come out on top. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, bro. The Bills are good. Last year, they were on the come up. This year, Tyrod Taylor, I mean, he was good with the rushing, and he was a decent thrower. and they got some good running game. I think they're not. I think they're contenders, not pretenders.
Oh, nice. The other team that's highlighted here is the Carolina Panthers. We talked about it earlier. They went into New England and won. They're 3-1. I think that their core from 2000.
Wait, the Panthers are 3-1.
Yeah, the Panthers are 3-1.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Carolina Panthers are 3-1. Oh my god, I do not believe it.
They only lost to. I think they lost to the Saints. Yeah,
I'm baffled. Yeah, no, you're right. Wow, 3-1. Oh my god.
The reason I think they could stay into contention is because they kind of still have the same team from 2015, the Super Bowl team, right. and they have a little bit more depth.
Cam was falling off for a little bit, but last week he really showed up.
And his shoulder's looking fine. And now I think that with McCaffrey in the backfield, they have another playmaker on offense. So they have some good offensive tactics going, and their nucleus is pretty good. But why they could fade, like always, it's the injuries. They have a lot of injuries on their offensive line, and they have an injury in their defense. Their safety, Kurt Coleman, is out for a month with a sprained MCL. So it's going to be pretty tough if injuries keep piling up on a team who doesn't really, who's suffered from injuries in the past. So hopefully the Panthers can keep up that contention. I think that they are a good contending team. Their division allows them to be, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean they're always in my mind a contending team, but this year they obviously had that slump last year. It's got a little rocky for me, but it's just crazy how they went from that Super Bowl team that was basically undefeated that season to now.
Yeah, and then the next team that's highlighted, the Los Angeles Rams. Honestly, the Los Angeles Rams have been surprising, to say the least. They lead the league in offensive points. Their defense is looking good. Their defense, we already knew their defense was going to be a good defense. Under Wade Phillips, it's getting better. And first-year coach is actually doing a really good job offensively with their young quarterback, Jared Goff. And they're taking a lot of load off of Todd Gurley. Like Todd Gurley, we know Todd Gurley is a great running back, but if he doesn't have a good quarterback to complement him, it's going to be a lot of just running the ball on first and second and third down, and you can't win games like that. So Jared Goff is definitely opening up his game. He looks like a little bit more composed. There's still some work for him to be done. I don't think he's at the elite level, which it takes to win a Super Bowl, but he's definitely surprised some people. And the offense is looking good with Sammy Watkins and Robert Woods. And then obviously that offensive line is a lot better than it was last year. But why they could fade is definitely Jared Goff. Jared Goff could, if they make the playoffs, it's going to be hard for a second-year quarterback to win some tough games on the road or anything like that. So, the season's definitely.
I thought they were pretenders in the beginning of the year. They beat the Colts, whoop-de-doo, 9-46. It's the Colts, and then they played the Redskins and they lost. But I was more impressed in that game.
Yeah, because they played good.
They played good team and they played good football.
Yeah, it was a battle. This game was really good too. Like they went up against Dallas, who obviously is a juggernaut when it comes to the offense, but they held their ground and they only kept them to 3 points in the second half.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, the next team that we're going to highlight here, the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 3-1 also. They have some wins against Washington and the Chargers, late road wins. And I think if they stay in contention, it's going to be because of their defense. Their offense or their defensive line is pressuring the quarterback, and the offensive line is opening up holes for the running game. Carson Wentz is looking, man. Carson Wentz is a mobile quarterback. A lot of people didn't think he was that athletic. He's an athlete, man. He's shaking defenders out of their cleats.
He really is.
And then he has a strong ground game with LeGarrette Blount. And I don't know, man. They could make the playoffs. The only thing that I see their weakness is their corners. They don't really have a defensive backfield that's strong. Their defensive line is making it difficult for opposing offenses to get anything going. So it's kind of masking that vulnerability. But I don't know, man. They look like a team who could come out on top of that NFC East.
They definitely did. Remember last year it was Wentz and Dak Prescott's rookie season. They got compared a lot the whole time. Wentz went on a tear. The beginning of the season, good. He was doing great. And I think this year is probably his breakout year, and he's probably going to do even better than last year. And I think he will lead his team to the playoffs too.
Yeah, I don't have any disagreements on that. I think he's a pretty good quarterback, a pretty great pick for that organization. The next team that I want to highlight a little bit here is the Tampa Bay Bucks. They're 2-1. They had a comeback win over the Giants this past week, and that offense has some weapons. Jameis Winston's pretty good. He can bounce back quickly from poor performances. He's a winner. He's won in college, so he knows what it takes to win, and he does throw
Michael Evans.
Yeah, Mike Evans. They got Mike Evans. They got Deshaun Watson. They have a good running back. I think their offensive line is pretty good. But he does throw a lot of interceptions, so that's one of his flaws. But I think that the only thing is that their defense is kind of letting them down on third downs. Opposing offenses are converting 50% of the time on third down, so they need to buckle down on defense to keep pace with everyone else in their division, because that division is looking like it's wide open at this point.
Straight up.
And how you feel about the Tennessee Titans?
I mean, honestly, without, if Mariota could stay healthy, then it would be awesome. But for now, I don't really think they're going to get much further without him unless they have a solid QB. And
unfortunately, with the spread offense that they have and the schemes that they have for a more mobile quarterback, you would have thought, hey, Marcus Mariota got hurt. Maybe Colin Kaepernick is going to get a call up. No, they decided to go with Brandon Weeden, who was not on anybody's roster this summer. Brandon Weeden. Just let that sink in real quick. It's unbelievable.
Dude, Jay Cutler's in the NFL. Trust me, we get it.
But they have a two-headed monster in that backfield with DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry, so they may be able to keep them afloat in the AFC South with all those teams struggling. But they've already played 2 divisional games in which they lost, so they're behind the curve.
Yeah, most definitely. Hey, can we get talking about that upcoming Week 5 that is going to be cracking? Starting
man. Let's go for it.
Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Thursday, we got the Patriots versus the Buccaneers, which should be a good game, and it would definitely be a challenging game for the Buccaneers as much as it is going to be for the Patriots. So, who you got on that game, Carlos?
I think it's pretty safe. It's a safe bet to bet with the Patriots. I'm gonna keep it with the Patriots. I think they're playing in Foxborough too. So.
Oh, nice.
Actually, they're not.
Actually, they're playing in Tampa Bay. Yeah,
they're playing in Tampa. No, I think the Patriots could bounce back.
Yeah, I'll go with the Bucks on this one, man. I'm feeling the Bucks, but 49ers and Colts. It's going to be a field goal fest.
I think the Colts win.
It's in Indianapolis. I think the Niners will win this one.
Ooh.
And then we got another battle of the phenoms, the Jets versus the Cleveland Browns.
I think I don't know, man. I don't know who to pick on this one because I don't want to look like a goofball next week.
I'll go with the Jets.
I think a safe bet's with the Jets.
It's in Ohio. They're playing in Cleveland, but I'll still go with the Jets. Here's one. Jaguars versus the Steelers.
Steelers Sunday, are going to win this.
10 a.m. It's in Pittsburgh. I don't know. I have a feeling. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think the Steelers will win. And then we got the Chargers versus the Giants in New Jersey.
Man, if the Giants don't win this, then they definitely got some problems. I'm picking the Giants.
One of these teams is not going to be 0-4, right? Is that what it is?
They may tie.
They might. Oh, God. Okay. If they do, they might as well just exit out the NFL. But we got the Bills versus the Bengals in Cincinnati. I think the Buffalo Bills will take this one.
I think the Bills are going to win this one.
Man. And then we got the Panthers versus the Lions in Detroit. I'm going to go with, this should be a good game. 10 a.m. Sunday. I'm going with the Detroit Lions.
Detroit's having some issues on offense, man. I'm going to pick the Panthers. That defense is looking like they woke up, and Cam Newton has some surprises up his sleeve.
For sure. We got the Tennessee Titans versus the Miami Dolphins at 10 a.m. And that game should be pretty cool. I'll go with the Dolphins for this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Dolphins. That's a safe bet there.
Yes, it's always safe to bet with Jay Cutler, you know. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's because Tennessee doesn't have Mariota.
No, I know. Yeah, exactly. We got the Arizona Cardinals versus the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm going with the Eagles.
Same.
I'm pretty sure you are too. Yep. Yeah. It's in Philly too, so don't ever play yourself. They're going to win that game. The Ravens versus the Raiders in Oakland, 1:05 p.m. game.
I'm picking the Raiders. The Ravens having some issues, man. Joe Flacco's not playing very well. The Raiders look like they're not playing very well either, but that defense is playing up to par. So I'm thinking that they could pull out a win with EJ Manuel as their quarterback.
Ooh, okay. I don't know. That one's a toss-up for me. I'll just go with the Ravens. I'll go with the Ravens, even though it's in Oakland. We got another game in LA, the Coliseum. It is your Los Angeles Rams, and they're playing the Seahawks. How do you feel, man?
That's a toss-up too, man, because the Seahawks just come off a good win, and the Rams did too. They both got some momentum, but I think it's going to be a defensive struggle, and I'm going to pick the Seahawks on the road.
All right, I'm going to go with the Rams because I feel like Russell Wilson's struggling to buy a touchdown these days, but it should be an interesting game. I got my money on the Rams, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Oh my god, I'm just playing. In Arlington, Texas, the Dallas Cowboys are going up against the Green Bay Packers, and it's going to be a good game. Let me tell you.
It's obviously you're going to pick the Packers, and I'm going to have to agree with you on this one. I think the Packers.
Oh, whoa, man! Who said I was going to pick the Packers?
Oh, come on!
I'm just playing. I think the Packers will win.
Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a field day with that defensive secondary. The Cowboys that's their biggest weakness, and you know how Aaron Rodgers like to pick on those corners.
I know. Hey, but we didn't get to mention sad news. Packers running back starter Ty Montgomery suffered broken ribs on the Thursday night game they played last week. And, it's kind of it's a tough nail to swallow for fantasy owners and Packer fans everywhere. But they will try to make it work for next week. This guy is a hero. So they're going to put a Kevlar suit on him. And they're going to try to let him play through it. And it might work. They've tried it before on Jordy Nelson. They've tried it with other players. Hopefully it works. But I'd rather have the guy alive and not with broken ribs than playing and winning me fantasy games. So hopefully he gets a speedy recovery. He's like one of our solid running backs. That we've had in the last few years. So
Yeah, and then that Sunday night game, the Chiefs versus the Texans, man.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with that's gonna be cool. That's in Houston. Oh, man, this could be Deshaun Watson versus Alex Smith. That good defense versus, Kareem Hunt. Oh, I don't know, man.
That's a toss-up, man. I'm going to pick the Texans just because I want the Chiefs to lose.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs, dude. But, wow, that's going to be a good game for sure.
Yeah, and then that Monday night game, we got the Vikings and the Bears. I'm going to pick the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings as well. Stephon Diggs, even though without the amazing quarterback Sam Bradford. No, it's in Chicago, but yeah, I still think the Vikings will take that W.
Yeah, the Vikings defense against a rookie quarterback, I'm definitely picking the Vikings defense.
Yeah, for real. And you got any more news about football before we move on to soccer, Carlos?
No, man, I think that's good for the NFL segment on this episode of Hot Streak. We'll be right back with some more news on soccer and then some plugs, so keep it locked.
Oh, yeah. Keep it locked later.
This ain't no hot links. This is no hot chicks. It's Hot Streak Podcast, man.
And we're back on Hot Streak. You already know what it is. It's your boy Carlos, and I got Saif with me.
What up?
We out here rocking. You know what
Chilling.
it is. So let's give you a quick recap on this week's international soccer news. The top four leagues. Barcelona is still perfect in the league. They won 3-0, and they played to an empty stadium because of the Catalonia independence referendum. There's a lot of turmoil going on in that area of Spain right now, so Barcelona played to an empty stadium. And there was some controversy because a lot of players weren't really... a lot of the Spanish players on the team from Barcelona weren't really feeling up to playing, but if they would have forfeited the game, they would have lost 6 points. So
Jesus.
They said, you know what, we have to play this game because the title race is on. We got to win the trophy. They ended up winning 3-0. Messi has 11 goals in the league. Let's just put this into perspective. Messi has 11 goals in the league, and Real Madrid has only scored 11 goals in the league.
Oh my God!
Yeah, this is Messi doing Messi things, and Real Madrid won in the Bernabeu, as expected. They still have an issue with star striker Cristiano Ronaldo, who is looking like a not a star right now. He has 22 shots. Only 4 on target in the league, and he has no goals. So, I mean, that's your Man Crush Monday's favorite player.
That's crazy.
And then let's take a trip to England. Arsenal won their 3rd game in a row. And it's funny because they were on a losing streak. They lost to Liverpool. It was embarrassing. And then one of their players actually joined Liverpool after that game. And Liverpool has lost.
Oh my God!
Yeah, one of their players joined Liverpool, and then he has essentially brought all the bad luck to Liverpool because Liverpool has lost every game since, or drawed every game since, and Arsenal's on a win streak. So who really won here? They seem to win the fans back as well, and then there was a clash between the Titans. Manchester City and Chelsea squared off in a primetime game early Sunday morning. Manchester City is the leader in the league. I think they're tied with Man United. They ended up beating Chelsea 1-0 with a nice, it was one of the nicest goals of the weekend. De Bruyne just shot a left-footed strike into the top corner. It was like no keeper in the world was going to catch that. So they ended up beating Chelsea 1-0. And it looks like Manchester City and Manchester United are the title faves for the Premier League. So a battle within Manchester. Tottenham's kind of lurking on the sideline too. Harry Kane is having a great year. He scored 27 goals. I think he had a hat trick again this weekend. So that's pretty cool. And there's actually a break of international soccer right now. In all the leagues, they're going to do World Cup qualifiers this week. So for the next week and a half, there's going to be some World Cup qualifier games. I think the biggest ones are England versus Slovenia. I think if England wins, they qualify for the World Cup. And Germany just needs one more win to qualify. They play Northern Ireland. Bolivia versus Brazil. Argentina, who is struggling to make any noise in the World Cup qualifying. They need to win every single game that they have left. They play Peru, and Uruguay plays Venezuela. Chile plays Ecuador. So there's a couple of games. The U.S. also playing some World Cup qualifiers, and they're having issues, as we all know. Aside from all the political backlash of anthem protests, They have yet to qualify for the World Cup, so they are looking to win and win out, and I think they need some help from other teams to win within the conference as well. Mexico's already qualified. Mexico plays, I think they play Honduras, and that's on October 6th, and then the U.S. plays, I think, Trinidad. So hopefully they can get a win, because it's going to be pretty weird to see the U.S. not qualifying for the World Cup. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not a big fan of the U.S. national team. I think their style of play is kind of whack, but I do want them to show up.
Hater.
And I do want them to qualify, though. I mean, it'd be pretty shitty to see them not qualify. So, yeah, man, it was a pretty slow week when it comes to the soccer news. PSG also won. Forgot to mention them. Neymar scored a spectacular free kick, man. I don't know if you saw it, Saif. Did you see that?
I saw that.
Dude,
I did see that.
The keeper just looked at it go into the net. So that was pretty impressive. And they won 6-2, I think.
Damn.
The French league's not very competitive, but Neymar's making a case, man. Neymar is definitely trying to be the best player in the world. I don't know if he could keep it on pace with Messi's 11 goals, but it's pretty good to see. So, you know what, man? I think it's come to the end of the episode. We kind of went a little bit overboard with that NFL segment. It had a lot to talk about, but the soccer segment has now come to an end. And Saif, you want to throw out your plugs?
Yup. So you guys already know. Follow me on Instagram at SaifK94, SaifK94. Follow our podcast on Instagram also at Hot Street Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Hot Street Pod, POD. Also follow our producer at CRP Shows on Instagram. A lot of dope content, a lot of shows like ours, or not like ours, but a lot of cool podcasts to check out. So go check that out. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the plugs on my part.
Yeah, and then don't forget to go ahead and subscribe on iTunes and on Google Play, all podcast platforms. Hot Streak Podcast. We are there. We stunting. We looking good on that picture, even though it's not a picture of us. But yeah, go ahead and subscribe on that. And then you can follow me on Instagram at chef_cgod and on Twitter at Tupac's Love Child. And I'm always talking about sports. Whatever you got to say, man, hit that follow and let me know, man, if you want to get schooled. Yeah, man. So this is the end of the episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.
This was a Cesar Rodriguez production. Check out more at crpshows.com.